The opinions expressed on the radio program by the hosts, co hosts, guests, and call in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Genesis Radio, www.genesisradio.com, Genesis Radio's owners, management, or affiliates.
Hey, y'all. Y'all know what it is. It's your man TP. I'm in the building today. Got something fresh, new, and exciting for y'all. We're going to kick it today with a young man who's called the Gifted Gorilla. And he got a story to tell. And he got some great music. And I want to introduce him to y'all, to all the listeners. And, we want to break him today as an artist. But before we just get into music, we want to tell his story. We want him to tell his story. And he came into the station a week ago with a Kindle on the Unity Community Show that he does. And, he was just chopping it up. And I want to give the brother an opportunity to sit and tell his story intact where there's no distractions, where you can hear where he's coming from and what his story is. Because in music today, everybody's doing fiction, right? And me, I'm an old school kind of dude. I'm a realist, and those that know me and know what I do in music and what I've done in music, what I do comes from the heart, and it's real life stories. It's real stuff. Everything that I've ever talked about, written about, put in a song, put anyway, it was a real story. It came from somewhere. It was inspired by something or somebody. It wasn't inspired by a movie. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, saw The Godfather, and they took on a persona of somebody from The Godfather, or Scarface. They took on a persona of somebody there. New Jack City. They took on these different personas. Anything I ever done never was a persona. It came straight from the heart. It was my story. It was something that inspired me. It might have been just a conversation that I had with somebody. Heck, I wrote a song one time about my neighbor that lived across the hall from me. I lived in a fancy building in Manhattan for a little while, and I had a nice doorman service and everything. And and my neighbor was doing his residency as a doctor at one of them fancy hospitals in Manhattan on the Upper West Side. And he didn't live in New York, but he had an apartment there while he was doing his residency, and he had a girlfriend. He had a wife at home, but he had a girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
So everybody in the building knew about his girlfriend, right? And because he lived across the hall from me, and the doorman knew the story, right? And I was this dude said, "How you pulling this off, man? You got a wife, and then your wife come, and sometimes your girlfriend come over while your wife is through, and it seemed like everything is cool, right? But guess what? The wife didn't know that they were more than just friends. You know what I mean? So that inspired a song. You and I are more than just friends. You know what I mean? So like I said, everything that I've done was, inspired by something real.
Yeah.
Unlike all these kids talking about they were gangsters and murderers and drug dealers and pimps and players and and moguls, when bruh, you pick roaches out the cereal, bruh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's your story.
Yeah.
Tell that story.
That's real.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I was listening to you talk, when you were in here with them, and I was like, you know what? I like this brother. You know what I mean? I want to give him a shot. I want to give him an opportunity to talk to the world, introduce himself, So we're going to start from go. So I'm going to stop bumping my gums, and I'm going to introduce y'all to the Gifted Gorilla. He's in here today with his manager, So we just going to chop it up a little bit. So I'm taking the camera off me. I'm putting it on you, and I want you and your manager to introduce yourselves, everybody.
Gotcha.
Go ahead.
Sean Dre, but they call me Gifted Gorilla. This is my manager, my wife, and we're here today so I can tell my side of the story. I need some ears.
There
You
you
don't
go.
want to listen when I talk to you in person. You're gonna listen now.
There you go.
So-
There you go.
Next, explain who you is.
My name is Pamela, and as he said, I'm his wife. And I am so grateful that he's getting the opportunity to get a story out of you.
Oh God,
Because he has a really interesting story.
real good.
Yeah. So
It's
you know
touching.
that's good. That's what it's all about. So tell us your story, man. Tell us where it all started at. Where you from originally?
Okay, first, I'm from Troy, New York, born and raised. There was these apartments called Taylor's Apartments. I don't think I was born in Taylor's. I think I was born on Fifth Ave. It was bad. Mike Tyson used to roll through there when I was growing up. I was a little kid. My
Okay.
father and them know him, my aunts and them know him. But it's like Prospect Park. He from Catskill, New York. It's not too far from Troy. He
Mm-hmm.
used to go to the same park and job. But
Mhm.
that's when I was little.
Right.
But I'm from that area, Troy. Taylor's Apartments right across like the Hudson River right there. I can open my window and
Mhm.
throw some out the window and then go to the Hudson River.
You right there.
Dirty water.
Troy and
Yeah.
Albany, Schenectady,
Albany,
all that.
Schenectady,
Yeah.
there you
Yeah.
go. So represent Troy, New York. That's where I'm from. This where I always gonna be in the heart. That don't mean just because I don't live there, don't mean the soul not there. We in another state, but this is where I'm born from. So I gotta rep that state. You understand? So shout out to Troy, New York. I had a sister. Well, I got a sister. She's 4 years older than me. But when she was born, my parents had another kid, and they lost the baby. But they was gonna name the baby my name. I guess that's how it was supposed to be. But then they had me. Now they got pregnant for me, so I'm the third kid. I was like the mishap kid. I wasn't prepared or nothing, So they named me Chandre. I knew I was going to be the left out and the lonely one, the black sheep of the family, just because how things went from the beginning. I ain't blaming nobody, but it was just my father and my mom in the house. I'm 2 years old. I ate paint off the wall. I'm crawling around, I guess. And I don't remember, but I know I was by myself. Apparently, I got sick, and this paint led to lead poison, something that can kill you instantly. So in '83, this happened. I guess I ate the paint in like '85 or something, and the sickness kicked in '85 or something. So my mother peeped it, and she took me to the hospital. And I was swelling up like a balloon, like you can pop me with a needle, yo.
Mhm.
I would swell up, everything, my whole body.
Retaining water.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
my cheeks, my nuts, my legs, my ankles, my elbows, everything swell up. So my mom took me to the hospital, and they couldn't figure out exactly what it was. So they started doing tests and diagnoses and taking pieces of my kidney and trying to figure out what's wrong with me and what this procedure was that causing this to happen. So I had to be in the hospital a lot. I did come home, but I was still sick. I was on pills every day. I had to take breakfast, lunch, and dinner pills. Couldn't eat no salt. I wasn't like the rest of the kids. Anything that I did, like, it'd injure my kidney, so I couldn't play rough. I couldn't wrestle. I couldn't jump off of buildings and ride dirt bikes, and I was different. And by that's happening, as me growing up, I'm in and out the hospital. Go to the hospital. I'm in there for months. Come home. It's new people around where we live at. We live in a different place. Go back to the hospital. Come back home. We live in a different place. So it's like different people everywhere. And I was short and fat, man. So to me, I was scared to get into a fight because I knew I'd get beat up because I was so little. But I was fat and light skinned with long hair. I looked like a little girl growing up.
Mhm.
If it was up to me, I would look different. But I bless God and thank Him for the way I looked then, because we don't look like that no more today. But so I was like, everybody used to pick on me and bully me and all this. So I guess throughout time, me going in and out the hospital, and I ain't have no friends, and my family would bully me, and I would start doing stuff to them, poison their food or putting dish detergent in their drinks. So everybody, I chase them with chainsaws, crank it up as a youngin coming up, all my cousins. So I used to do evil stuff to them because they was treating me bad too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So when I do it, everybody look at me like I'm the bad guy. But what about, I didn't tell when he did this to me.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my get back, and he going to tell like I started everything.
Well, as they say, for every action is a reaction.
Yeah. So I was that type of kid. I get even. Yeah, I'll play smarter. I'll sit around and think about it, and then I'll come at you when you least suspect it. I'm sorry for everybody that I did do that to, but life goes on. I apologize. We ain't gonna do it no more. Don't apologize to y'all. But so it turned me into them picking on me into I don't want to say crazy or lost my mind, or I just want to say I didn't care too much about nothing then because nobody cared neither. So I didn't care.
Right.
So, I do everything. I stole from them. I robbed them. I wait till they leave, and I wait till they leave, and I go in their house. Rob my cousins, the ones that do, sell drugs. I go in there and rob them. I didn't care. I rob stores. I rob liquor stores. I rob people. I put them in the trunk, time up. But this is like, I'm young. I was 15, 14, 15, 16 at this time. So, but we still living in Taylor's, and I was still short and fat, and nobody, it was just a rough time growing up for me, man, until I hit 17 years old. And I was already
so basically
juvenile.
you was a victim of your environment.
Yeah, man. And I felt like I couldn't just beat nobody up because I was little. Everybody beat me up and used to punch on me and hit on me. I let it happen until a certain age, until I went to juvenile. When I went to juvenile, it was like I wanted to go to see something different. I guess I wasn't scared. Most people be scared. I wasn't scared. I didn't care. So when I did go, it was all these rules and regulations like the military. I was like, what? And there's something different. But my sister, we was cool growing up. My father used to wear bell bottoms and hats with the fur in it and beat my mom up. I watched him beat her up plenty times, and he used to gamble in the basements. To be honest, them two still don't tell their side of the story exactly what they used to do growing up. But I know they was involved with drugs, so their mind wasn't stable neither for them to watch me when I ate the paint off the wall, I guess. And I asked them this and asked them each one where they was at. They can't explain it. So I just take it as a loss, I guess, and just take it for a valuable lesson and learn and go on in life and forgive them. So when I was, I started doing bad stuff, man, in the streets. My father got me a car when I was 15. I got my driver's license. At first it was a permit, and then it turned over to driver's license. And then that's when my cousin, he came in the picture and big time. And I started driving him around everywhere, man. I'm 15 years old. I'm driving all the expensive cars back then. Lexus, Coupes,
so
400.
Let's back up just a little bit.
Okay.
You said your cousin came around.
Yep.
Right.
He was always there, but he just came around more often now.
So, and you was driving him around. So what? He was hustling?
Big time.
Okay.
I mean, like life or death situations, man. Like, if somebody knew, where we was at, he'd probably come and get us or do something to us.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking like that though. I was just in it for the thrill. I was having fun. I used to be in the strip clubs. I'm 16 years old in the strip club, man. You get lap dance, drinking with them, and nobody ain't saying nothing though. Security ain't saying nothing. I used to, watch my guy count up $100,000 cash in my face, man. I done seen probably 300K in narcotics, I wanted to be like this guy. I wanted to be like him, but our life wasn't the same. So there's no way I could have been like him. I just liked the stuff that he had and the stuff that he could do. So I wasn't true to the street life back then. Like, it was the era of paid in full and, the 1999 and 2000 era.
Okay.
So that's when it was. That's when this was taking place. When I was driving, it was like 1998, man, when I was doing this. I could tell you the S500 Mercedes-Benz Sports Coupe came out. That's when that came out. That's when that year was. And it was up to date. I think he got it a year ahead. You know what I'm saying? Before anybody even had it.
It's funny. Like, I'm listening to you tell your story, right?
Yep.
And me growing up was different, right? I grew up kind of sheltered, because I was the baby of the bunch, So my parents had a plan for me.
Yeah.
That I was going to be successful, one way or the other. You know what I mean? So they kept me in programs, sports, music, karate, all kind of. I always had something to occupy my time so that I wouldn't get caught up in excess or the things that was going on in the streets, right? But the funny thing is, my oldest brother was the biggest influence to me. My oldest brother, Billy, and my cousin Joey, right? They was the biggest influence because both of them were very talented, right? And my cousin Joey, he taught me how to play drums and all that stuff. 'Cause, we grew up around music. My mother, sang and. But anyway, I'm saying that to say everything bad I learned growing up, I learned from Billy and Joey.
For real?
So yeah, so you know what? I had no I wasn't street smart.
Yeah.
Right? But they were my idols. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because they had all the girls, they had money, you know what I mean? It was part of the street culture.
Yeah.
Somewhat more or less. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My brother was more of a move faker because he had options. He didn't have to be a part of the street. It was peer pressure that led my brother to be a part of the streets.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because, he grew up in a 2-family household with a mother and a father.
Sure.
And he didn't have to want for anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he had friends who, like me, I didn't know, didn't have a father, right? So I would assume that my friends who I never saw their father, I just assumed he was at work. I didn't know he was there because being as young as I was, I never thought that far.
Yeah.
I know my father is at work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He had business. So, him and my uncle, they running their business. They doing what they got to do. So, I can understand the influences of a cousin or other people when you're young. Because when we're young, we ain't nothing but sponges.
Yeah, we just soak up.
And we're going to soak up everything around us. So if it's bad stuff around us, that's what we're going to soak up.
Yep.
If it's good stuff around us, that's what we're going to soak up. You know what I'm saying? So some of us are blessed to be able to have a little bit of both of that.
Yep.
So then as we grow and mature, we can make the decision on where we want to be at in life. But I just want to jump in and add my
That's
little
good, yo.
thing in there. But go on with your story, man. Go ahead.
Okay. So this when I was 15 when I was driving. We're going to back it up just a tad bit, okay? When I was like 9, I smoked my first reefer with my mom. I was high as hell in the backseat. I was young. As a kid, man. I was high as hell too. I was so high, we went in the store and I just kept running up and down the aisles. I was young. But when I wasn't with her, because I see her sometimes, and she was with a drug dealer that, had money, and me and my sister plotted on robbing them. We did actually. Shout out to you. You know who you is. So my father wouldn't buy me everything I asked for. So I came up with a strategy by myself. I used to take the bus from Troy to the mall, Latham Mall, Kmart, wherever. And I used to rob these stores, man. I used to go in the fitting room and put on 6 or 7 jerseys, a couple pair of pants, and leave. Never got caught. So I stashed these clothes in the bridge. So when I leave home wearing the junkie clothes, my father hand me down stuff or Goodwill clothes I ain't like, I'll go to under the bridge right before the bus come, climb up the bridge, throw some pants and the jersey down or some shoes that I've been got from the mall, name brand stuff, and I put it on. But that's how I used to do things. I used to, early in the morning, I'd get up in the morning when I was 12, 13, get up in the morning, grab a cart, go around the whole city, man. I used to hustle and get the cans and the bottles and take it back across the bridge to Price Chopper and cash it in. Couple of $100, every other day. I used to sell candy. I used to sell Kool-Aid all in the streets of Troy. So I was always a hustler. And if you don't know about Jamaican beef patties with the mayonnaise, lettuce, and tomato on that thing, then you ain't from New York, man. Shout out to the bodegas on the corner, River Street. Yes, we're gonna go there. 5th Ave. We're gonna go there and tell us apartments. Fairlands. Yeah. So, but I used to be young on the bus, man, by myself. I guess I grew up too fast and I just didn't care. I was on the bus I'm young. I'm 13, man. I'm on the bus. I got a whole year wristband. I'm 13.
Hey, look, man. Sometimes, kids raise themselves sometimes.
Yeah. And the fact that I couldn't eat salt, so my family will cook a whole meal. I can't eat none of it. because everything got salt already in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm not being this serious. So this like probably ruined my mind or made me mentally stronger, knowing that I can't eat bacon, I can't eat ham, I can't eat turkey, I can't eat fried chicken, because all this stuff already got salt in it, preserved salt already in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll swell up. Any little piece of salt, I'll get big like this and have to go to the hospital, stay there. And you know, throughout the hospital days, the doctor used to tell me that I was gonna die, that I ain't gonna make it, man. He used to cry, come in there and stand up right in front of the bed and be like, Chandra. And I look at him like, yeah, Dr. Orrak. His name was Dr. Orrak. And I look at him, he'd just start crying, man. Tears would come down. I'm like, what's wrong? I grab his shoulder, what's wrong? The man tell me he don't think I got long to live, man. And this a few different occasions, you know, and that's what I didn't understand it then, but that it stuck with me. So, you know, I always had to be, I didn't want to be better than my family. I just didn't know I just didn't see the world for really what it was. I seen a different realm of it because the bad stuff I did when I got older, when I start getting into, you know, start driving and all that, my cousins, they already know why I do something crazy. I done put in work. I done, you know, did all that right there. And, you know, I did all that. They ain't nothing, you know. So I'm this age, 16, and they already know this guy crazy. But I wouldn't fight you. I pull a weapon out first because I was scared to get beat up. I tell you, I was little and short and fat, man, and I had braids. Nobody, they just, you know, disrespect me. But if I got a gun on me, they're not gonna disrespect me. And I used to pull that damn thing out.
Well,
Shotgun.
They would call that Mr. Speaker. That was the speaker.
Yeah, that the talk, make them listen to me.
That's right.
Yeah, because I ain't was so big.
That's right.
You know, so times, you know, and everybody will call me when they got a problem. Yo, I got a problem. Like a couple, this it's crazy, man. Like my homeboys back then, what I thought of them then and now today, they ain't nothing like I thought they was back then.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So they not true friends to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I got even with a lot of people, you know, and that's the type of guy I was. But I always had love in my heart. I always had love. So, you know, my cousin, the first time, you know, he cooked the kilo in my daddy's house, man. My father was at work. He used to work for the city of Myrtle Beach. I remember. I'm like, just before I went to prison. So my cousin cooked like,
I got some Myrtle Beach roots too, man.
yeah, he did like 2 or 3, about 2 kilos that time in the house. And it took from 7 o'clock that morning when my daddy left. He leave at 4:30. It was about 7 o'clock and he came over, my cousin, with my other cousin. Mobb Deep was jumping then. Survival of the Fittest. And that Shine Pole, Bust Lights, Get Right, Bank, Stop, Go Ahead, Roll the Dice. That one just came out. And they in there doing this. So we got done about 6 o'clock. I was helping too. It was just different, man. Something I ain't seen before, you know, like it would just have my mind on another level now. Like if he can do it, I can do it. You know, but I just went about it the wrong way, I guess. But my father came home and was like, what's that smell in here? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, it just smell funny. Like, you ain't cooked nothing in here, no fish or nothing? I said, nah. But the whole time, the whole stove was being used all day cooking up. But he never knew until I told him. But, you know, my father, he was in the drug game too. He was selling drugs. And I guess, man, like, if my father tried to be the best dad, I guess he could have been. But, you know, it's just not in you when the kid is looking for a special or a certain type of love from their loved ones that they don't have or they not getting. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
I know exactly what you're talking about because you know what? I have one vision of my father.
Yep.
Right? And if people ask me to describe my father, I got one word: Superman.
Yeah.
My dad was Superman. I ain't never seen him sweat, stress nothing. In fact, I'm so much like my father today that it scares me sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, because I often tell people ain't nothing to it, because that's what something that he would always say, ain't nothing to it.
Yeah.
You know, so and you will pick up these different things, you know what I'm saying, in life, you know, and so I'm a hustler too.
Yeah.
Right. I just hustle different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because my pops, you know, used to take me to work, take me to that store, and I would help my pops pack out them shelves. and do stuff. So when people came in, I remember my pops used to he used to buy from the people. I don't know if you remember. I'm sure you remember. They used to have they used to give out pantry stuff or whatever it was. I remember this, and they had that big log of cheese, right?
Yeah, that's
Right.
Vita, ain't
I don't know what it was.
That was government
government
cheese.
cheese in the box.
Yeah, right. Well, people used to bring that to my pop's store.
Yeah.
For him to slice it up for them, and sometimes they would say, "Hey, give me a couple of dollars for it." You know what I mean? Because for some reason, that was the best.
Mhm.
I don't even know if it was really American cheese or what kind of cheese it was, but it made a mean grilled cheese sandwich, man, and it went real good on sliced up and put it on a sandwich.
Yeah.
It was better than the stuff that the companies brought and sold that my pops and them brought.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That in the box, it came in a box.
And then the aluminum foil around it, right?
You know what I mean? No, it didn't have aluminum foil around it.
Plastic.
It was in plastic.
Plastic.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it was old because it was actually war rations.
Mhm.
So it was old. Either I don't know if it was from the Vietnam War or before that, because cheese don't go bad. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that just don't go bad. As long as it's sealed it properly, it just won't go bad. So, but yeah, man. So
That's tough.
yeah. So like my dad took me to work, so I went and saw a whole bunch of things. So I knew that my hustle was going to be working.
Yeah.
And he gave me the working tools so that I knew that it wasn't going to be easy, but it didn't have to be hard.
Yeah.
So he gave me, the wisdom to make better decisions. You know what I'm saying? And I often say that today when I pray. I thank God every day for giving me the wisdom to make better decisions today than I did yesterday.
Every day, man.
You know what I'm saying? So, we are victims of our circumstance, right? We learn from our circumstances, and we have to govern ourselves accordingly to our circumstances, and there's no bad experience in life, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Because your upbringing inspires me. I want to know, because one of the weirdest things ever that happened, I used to, be uptown, Sugar Hill, right? And I would walk through the projects, right? Now I ain't got no business being in the projects. I have no business there. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I just didn't have a reason to be there, but I was inspired by it, right? And I remember I came home one day and I asked my dad, I said, why we can't live down there with them? And he looked at me he gave me a look like, you don't know the difference? Because here I am living in property that we own, right?
Mhm.
And the whole family living together and everything's cool, right? But when I would walk through the projects, they had a sprinkler system in there. People looked like they were barbecuing all the time and shit. People in the window, everybody seemed like they knew each other. It seemed like a one big happy damn family, right? Right. So I'm like, damn, they having the ball. They had free lunch down there.
They had the kiddie parks in the middle.
Yeah.
The sprinkler system.
Yeah,
Yes.
all that. So I'm walking by like saying, damn, they doing all right.
Good.
You know what I mean? But that was on the outside looking in, because they were able to adapt and make the best of their situation. You know what I'm saying? So here I am. Hell, people said I was a silver spoon kid growing up. Went to private school all my life and shit. I didn't go to public school till, the end, And basically, I had no damn clue what it was really like, because I didn't know struggle. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We only had one phone number my entire life. You know what I mean? I didn't have a story about the phone not being on, not realizing that people that lived down there didn't have phones. You know what I'm saying? Not realizing that, I heard one fella I had knew, right? He talked about being hungry. And I would look at them like, hungry? You know, like these things was foreign to me because I didn't have the real perception of the ghetto experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? See, we were all poor.
Yeah.
We just didn't know it. And there was levels to being poor. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Some people didn't eat meals on a regular basis. Some kids didn't eat until they went to school.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But I didn't grow up that way. My mother made breakfast every day. I had breakfast every day. You know what I'm saying? And if I wasn't in school, my mother made lunch. My mother made dinner. You know what I'm saying? We had goodies at the house. When my friends would come over, that was from the neighborhood, right? And, you know, we had different experiences, right? So in our pantry, we had Twinkies and cookies and all that type of stuff. There was ice cream in the freezer and stuff like that. We had it. We needed it. It would sometimes we just go back because it wasn't that important to us,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when my friends would come over and they'd be like, "Yo, can I get that? Go ahead, take it, eat it. Go ahead, I don't care. Whatever you want, bag it out, right?" And my mother was like a neighborhood mom. My dad was a neighborhood dad, and they understood. They knew that these kids was missing meals. They knew that the things that we took for granted and having goodies, as we call them, you know what I mean? They didn't have goodies. They might have got little goodies when their mother got her food stamps, you know, or whatever. And that might have been a treat for a day. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, we got, man, y'all could have all that shit, man. We need all that. You know what I'm saying? I never had any cavities, man. You know what I'm saying? Because there was no desire to be in excess of that type of stuff. So, you know, everybody's upbringing was different. So our value system was different. You know what I'm saying? What we valued in life growing up as kids was different. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, holiday time came, Christmas came. We had a wealth of gifts underneath the tree. You know what I mean? Not knowing that some of these other kids didn't have nothing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They might have got some socks. You know what I mean? So yet here I am looking at them wanting to be them. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because they made it work. You understand what I'm saying? They made it work. And I was just naive and ignorant to the facts of reality because my father and my mother kept me in a bubble, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because if I would have went to school, if I'd have went to school with the you know, like the public schools in the community,
mm-hmm.
I would have known more. I'd have realized the difference between how we living and how they're living. And it didn't make me better than anybody. It didn't make us better than anybody, but you know, there's a difference when you have a middle class upbringing and then you have a below poverty upbringing. It's not the same sandwich. And back in the 60s and 70s growing up, right? And even in the 80s, you could be middle class and still live in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Because the social divide really hadn't changed that much yet. So if you had $2 above lunch money, you still lived in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
You just didn't live in the projects.
Mm-hmm.
You had a house. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Or you had a tenement building that might have had 2 or 3 apartments in it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That was the only difference. But we still lived in the same neighborhood.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? So the difference in our life was inside the house. It wasn't what was outside the house.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, like I said, I was in, you know, I want to be there, man. They want to be me. I want to be them, you know, and I often say sometimes the people, everybody want to be me but me sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know until you know.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel what you're saying. Your story is right on track and it's about as real as it can get. But, you know,
Continue.
That's me pumping my gums, you know.
That's cool. I like it, man.
Listen, that's
man.
that's my 2 cents, and you keep the change,
I'm
man.
gonna
Go ahead.
Get a little gritty for you then.
Go ahead,
Let's
man.
get gritty.
Give it up.
So the brokest we ever been was had the onion soup, just onions and water boiled. That's the lowest we've been, man. As my family speaking, I didn't really know none of my family members. I still don't know them personally, like, because they don't open up and they don't talk about much. They talk about what they feel like talking about. So we'd never, I guess, never be on the same page as understanding life and how things work and what we've been through, because they didn't been through what I've been through. We different, you know, and they know that. But my whole life, man, I always have faith in God, Jesus, the Son, the Father, and the Holy Spirit. All my life. I didn't care what it was. The whole time in the hospital, I always had faith in Jesus. I always wanted to know about it, but I didn't know how to go about it because I was young. I know we go to church and they'll tell us about it, but that wasn't enough for me. And I didn't know that I would be telling this story right here, right now with you, man. But after all that passed and, you know, driving for my cousin and all this and seeing all the, you know, all this money and lavish lifestyle and nice clothes and jewelries and all this and nice cars and nice houses at a young age, like I'm 16, 15, I'm involved with this stuff. So when I did go to juvenile, I really wanted to go. I prayed God to go to jail, man. But I didn't, not that time, because my father kept telling me, you don't want to go there. He let me watch movies like, one of them name was the Mexican. He's a Mexican guy. I'll come back to it if I can't remember it. American Me. Boom! Shout out to American Me, the man who did play that movie. So I'm young. My father made me watch that movie, and these guys, their lifestyle was crazy. They going to jail and get stabbed up. They stabbing, they get raped, and I'm thinking, damn, that's gonna happen to me if I go to jail. So I was curious now, like, is that really gonna happen to me? I was, you know, so me going to jail was not a big deal. The juvenile part, after I did that, that was a little 45 days. I came back home, and I did cut a few more charges. Then they put all this to straight timer. I went back to jail, man. My grandfather, rest in peace. My grandfather, rest in peace to JC. He put his house up so I can get out of jail. But I had pending charges while I was in the jail. More charges was coming every day. So that's when I got hit with they tried to give me 65 years, didn't take it. Tried to give me 25, didn't take it. Then they came with the 12, and I took that one. But I wasn't scared to go to prison. I wanted to see what it was about. I wanted to experience this thing, man. And that's exactly what happened. I went to the county jail, J. Reuben Long. Shout outs to them too, because I ain't going back. J. Reuben Long, and it was different. It was different. Guys in there seemed like they were smarter than me and bigger than me, like cut up, and you know, so I had to adapt to this because I was still little. And I ain't really never get into no fights in the county jail. It didn't happen then. It happened when I was from the county jail to the prison system. So after I took the 12, they waited about a week, shipped me on out. I went to Kirkland, and that's where I experienced all this other crazy stuff with the wicks out the window burning all week. Literally, it's crazy. People want to take the socks and boxes from you, but it's an experience that I'll never forget, though. And it was something, and they barely feed you, so I'll never forget that, because you'll starve to death in jail anywhere in South Carolina, any jail and prison system. You're gonna starve to death if you don't have money or you got somebody that love you outside. So you hit unless you're just a hustler or you work in the kitchen. But past that, we in jail, we in prison now. We went to Ridgeland. That's where, you know, I learned a lot from there, man. And you guys, I learned a lot. Got to my first fight. I picked it myself. I picked the fight with the big dude named Red from Florence years ago, long time ago, man. You know, that man didn't even do nothing to me, man. I picked the fight with that guy just to show my loyalty to my friends that I had heart. And that was actually like probably my second fist fight my whole life. And then I liked it. I fell in love with it. I said, damn, this ain't nothing to this.
You want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something funny. You talking about a fist fight, right?
Yep.
I didn't have my first fight, really. My first real fight.
Yep.
till I was a senior in high school and public school.
Yeah.
And just like you,
Yeah.
I had to fight the bully.
Yeah.
And my brother told me, he said, we can come up to the school and kick everybody's ass way, but that's not going to stop them from bullying you.
Yeah.
You know what my brother did?
What?
He gave me a slapjack. He said, here, take this with you. He said, now when you go to school tomorrow, as soon as that dude say something to you, he said, go upside his head with this.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and don't stop hitting him till he drops or he runs. And this dude was bigger than me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's exactly what I did. I went
Oh.
upside his damn head, and you know what? things in the game changed. You know what I mean?
I ain't finished. I ain't even get to that.
You know what I'm saying? I went from being the nerdy kid from private school who went to public school, and people saw me as being different.
Yeah.
Because I showed them what a pocket protector. You know what a pocket protector is?
Yes, the plastic thing.
Right. I had a pocket protector. I didn't have cool clothes because I went to private school.
Yeah.
Right. So what everybody else was wearing, you know, man, I had penny loafers. You know, I was wearing polo shirts before they were cool.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Before the hood picked up on that style, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, because I came from public school or private school. So, you know what? So, you know, that was my experience. So, you know, I kind of got bullied going into high school, you know. And yeah, that's when I had my real first fight, man. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'm gone.
That's great. So that fight was probably like my second real fight that I had, but I forced that one. And dude kept asking me the whole time while we was in the room, like, "What I do, man? What I do?" And I'm like, "You know what you did? You staring at me in the cafeteria." That's what I said. The man staring at me because, you know, imitating that he was gay, and I ain't. So all my homeboys been around when it happened. I got off, and the man respected me after that. Everybody from that Florence section respected me. And I just had got there. So I started getting hip to this, right? I started getting hip to the program and how things worked and how the food cycle worked and how people think and get down. And I start focusing on the movements of people. I start working out myself every day. So I started working out, boom, boom, working out, pull-ups, push-ups, lifting my table, doing all this crazy stuff. I started getting big. But my homeboys never really liked me, man, because I always had canteen. The ladies always flirt with me. I wasn't scared. I had heart. I look better than them. That's all that people hate, because you do better and you look better and you got more swag than them. They're not gonna tell you that. So all my homeboys really was hating on me. I did in prison, so they wasn't with me. They robbed me. They robbed my blocker, man, and I beat up the main one. Rest in peace to him. I beat him up bad. He died as soon as he came home. 2015. He got murdered. Found him in the woods, man, with his penis in the mouth and all this crazy stuff. But that's his life. He wanted to do that. That's him. That's not me. But people I was in prison with that bullied me on the street, I seen a couple of them in prison. Mm-hmm. So now they coming to me because they see me working out and I'm big and I got a little gang behind me. You know, they like, oh, he remember what happened on the street. Oh, but yeah, this is what I was waiting on.
You the man now.
That's what I was waiting on. Absolutely. I was waiting to see you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll call me to the door and I'm like, we'll just talk when we come outside come to Pill Line. We'll talk then. They're like, nah, man, I can't. I don't think I can come out from. Well, I'll see you tomorrow morning for rec. I'll have the police let me out on your rec tomorrow. We're going to see each other face to face, gang. Mm-hmm. To be honest, I didn't think the hatred from what people did to me growing up would have made me do this, but it was like I had everybody specifically in my mind how many it was and exactly who it was.
Hey, it's those things that shape and mold us.
I swear on everything I love, I bumped into every last one of them. It was about 7 of them. And I said, do what you did today, back then. Do it right now. I bet you won't do it. I want to do this to you right now anyway for what you did back then. I done punked 6, 7. I punked every last one of them down, but one of them. I let him get away because he was saying he don't remember me at all. That's the only reason why. Man, I don't remember. So I knew he was scared. So I just let him ride. I let that one go because I know I ain't gonna have no problem with him. Yeah, but the rest of them, I checked and confronted them guys, man. And when I came home from jail, it was even worse because I was like 225 pounds, big, solid, man, solid. And everybody that I seen, just I told my father, I said, let me see somebody and they say the wrong thing, I'm gonna knock his ass. He's like, oh, you coming home with that violence? Nope, I'm coming home and stop, put my foot on their necks.
Well,
That's
you know,
what I'm coming to do.
sometimes it's those experiences that we have
Yep.
that turns us into monsters.
Turn this into monsters.
You know what I mean?
Animals.
That's right. You know what I mean? You know, like we didn't start out that way.
Yep.
We didn't want to be that way.
Yep.
But sometimes we don't have no choice.
Yeah.
You
It
know
didn't
what I
even
mean?
get good yet.
Because guess what?
It makes us men.
It's survival of the fittest.
It's about the fitness, man.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's what happens, man.
Exactly. So I had all this hatred piled up in me just for these guys because I want to see how tough they is now when I'm out of jail, when I did this time and they ain't even go to the county jail yet. So, you know, I want to see the expression on their face. There was a few of them, I caught all of them. But nobody actually played with me, man. Nobody disrespected me. Nobody stole nothing from me. Nobody tried to fight me. I ain't been in a fight in a long time, man, to be honest with you. But when I went to prison, this what blew me. I only know the basic concepts about the Bible when I went to prison. So 10 years, I read the Bible every year, man, 10 times. And I studied it. Every day studied it, took notes. I started learning things in the Bible that the preacher didn't know. They start arguing with me at service because they telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm telling them I got proof. I can show you, and I show them. They kicked me out the service.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying to myself, damn, why nobody want to listen to what I'm telling them? And I'm looking this up in the book. I'm reading, I'm studying the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
They not, and I'm telling the people, like they telling me, the inmates, oh, don't argue with the preacher. He know what he talking about. I said, nah, that man wrong. He don't know what he talking about, man. No, he is wrong. That's not what happened.
Well, see, you know what's ironic about that? See, we have parallel lives with a lot of things. Now, I ain't got a prison story to tell you, right?
Yep.
But I can tell you that I grew up in church.
Yeah.
Right. And I know the Bible inside out, upside down, right? And I know the Bible so well that when I would go visit somebody's church,
Yep.
I sit in the back.
Yep.
Because the moment they up there preaching an agenda, I will politely get up and leave.
Yep.
Right? Because first of all, there's nobody better to pray for you than you. All right. So you don't need the pastor. You don't need, you know, I mean, they're there for moral support, but who knows your heart and what you truly need?
Only God, yo.
Right? So when it comes to the Bible, right? I always say the Bible's right and somebody's wrong, right? And it used to be a gospel song years ago. The Bible's right, somebody's wrong. And you know, when you know the word of God, right, for yourself. Now the Bible's been changed several times, right? But me being the nerd kid that I was, right? You know, I am a historian.
Yeah.
Right. I research everything. So I've read every version of the Bible. I know every version of the Bible. I had my concordance to compare notes to, you know what I'm saying? I even read the Gnostic Bible, right? And so when people talk about, they try to paint the picture that the Gnostic Bible is sort of like devil worship or something like that, but it's not. It ain't devil worship. It's just books. It's the Bible, but there's books in that Bible
that's lost.
That's not your King James.
Like the Book of Barnabas, for example.
Right.
It's not in the Bible.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and once you know that, I can walk into a church, right? Never been there before.
Yeah.
Just from what that ecclesiastic pimp in the pulpit is talking about, I know exactly what's going on in the church. I know exactly what the drama is in the church because he's preaching about it.
He's preaching about it.
You know what I'm saying?
Can't keep quiet.
You know, because most of the time they hustling.
That's what they do.
Churches hustles. Church is a business now. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, your relationship with God, Christ, or whoever you worship, long as you believe in a higher power, you all right with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to that stuff there, I look at all these dudes, man, they hustling. You know what I mean?
I got one
So
thing to say.
so when you say that you learned the Bible and you knew the word for yourself,
Yep.
and the pastor, the minister, or whoever he was saying something that you knew didn't line up with the word of God, you was right and he was wrong.
Exactly. I don't think you should have to pay to get the word of God. You shouldn't have to go to church and give no deductions or no payments.
Hey, look here.
The word is free. God love you for free.
As soon as them hustlers start talking about, will a man rob God? That verse from Malachi, will a man rob God?
Yeah.
How would he rob God? In tithes and offerings?
Yes.
Man, you hustling me, man.
Yeah.
You know, get on up out of here, man.
You're right. And that's how I feel too. But another thing, I feel like my life is more than just one individual in the Bible, the stories. I can coincide with everything. I guess you got to read it to understand it, to know what your life about, and you got to know you and what the Bible was telling you from the beginning to now.
That's right.
You get me?
That's right.
So you will never get to know yourself if you don't read the Bible, because the Bible will tell you who you are if you read the Bible.
That's right.
And that's what I did, man. But people try to compete with me with the Bible still. And I don't want to argue about it. But while I was in jail, like I said, I did the Bible for 10 years straight. Read it every year. Studied it every chance I get. But in the process of that, I wanted to know more.
Mm-hmm.
I was a sponge,
mm-hmm.
literally.
Yeah.
So I became blood, because two of my homeboys was blood, and they was like, "Come on, man, get in." And they was spitting this knowledge around me. It sounded good, the numbers and what they saying. It sounded good, man, to my ears. And I was like, "Wow, they saying it like this. This sound good."
Well, let me just pull your coat. You're younger than me, right?
Yep.
And they paint the picture that Crips and Bloods is negative. They turned it into a negative, right?
Yeah.
But those organizations wasn't founded on what we perceive them to be today: murder, death, kill, and drugs. The Crips and the Bloods, those organizations were community-based organizations.
Yeah.
For the hood.
Unity.
For the hood.
Like back in the day.
Yeah. Like the Black Panthers.
Black Panthers.
What we call today free daycare, well, who started that? The Black Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
The free lunch programs, who started that? The Black Panthers. Meals on Wheels for the elderly, who started that? The Black Panthers, right? Yeah. So everything that the Black Panthers did, the Black Panthers, if I'm not mistaken, was like a New York-based thing, right? So, but they went out across the country to every hood, everywhere, and gave the gangs this information. But there was no Crips and there was no Bloods. They had different names for different neighborhood gangs back then, but there was no Crips and Bloods.
Mm-hmm.
The Crips and the Bloods was an offshoot of the Black Panthers.
Yeah.
So everything that the Panthers did, they did.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So the government used divide and conquer to infiltrate and break those things up. You know what I mean? See, you went somewhere where I'm gonna give you some knowledge, right? And it's socially, and it's major league with the church, more especially the Black church, right? And I get in trouble when I talk about this all the time. People get mad at me. you know, because when you all churchy and all this other stuff, a lot of people don't know how to connect the dots.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And you heard of civil rights, right? Everybody know about civil rights. You know, Donald Trump's trying to turn back the hands of time and everything and get rid of all these different civil rights, all those stuff. Do it. You can do it. Because in my opinion, right? In my opinion, segregation is bad. I think all people should be able to coexist and mix and mingle with each other. So segregation is bad, in my opinion, right? But separation wasn't bad. Separation ain't bad. Look here. It's okay for Spanish-speaking people to congregate because guess what? Real estates create neighborhoods, right? If you're Polish, right, and you walk into the real estate place, they take all your information and find out your background that you're Polish. So what are they going to do with you? They're going to show you houses in the Polish community. They're going to put you where you feel comfortable at amongst your people, your peers, right? That's not segregation. That's separation.
Yeah.
But they're putting you where you would be, they're being accommodating. All right. So that's different, right? That doesn't mean you can't go somewhere else if you want to, but that's what they generally do. You know, that's separation, right? So civil rights wasn't all it's cooked up to be, never was. But if you know history, the so-called United States, right, of America had to go to war with Mother England, with England, right? The Civil War, right? That was for the United States of America to break away from the strongholds of England, right? And the Civil War was very, very bad, very costly. It killed a lot of people, and it just was a bad situation, right? Now we're going to move forward. The civil rights movement, right? We dealt with separation, with segregation in our own way. We accepted it. This is the way it is. Okay, fine. So we're going to take care of us, right?
Yeah.
So those of you who want to work with us will work with us, because our Jewish brothers and sisters, even our Italian brothers and sisters, and even the Irish work hand in hand with us because their background was so similar to ours. You know what I'm saying? See, the things they didn't teach you in school was you would believe that only Black people, so to speak, or melanated people were slaves in America. No. You know the Bible, slavery.
Yeah.
From the beginning of time.
It's still going today. I'm about to tell you where and how.
From the beginning of time, slavery was there.
I'm about to tell you though.
Right.
You
So there was other people that were here that were slaves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So as they're trying to rewrite history now, they rewrote history then.
Yeah.
So they begin to call them indentured servants. So that, you know, if you have a Caucasian background, they didn't want to say you was a slave. So they said, oh, well, they were indentured servants. They had to pay their way for being here. You know what I'm saying? No. If you got some real Irish friends, talk to them. They'll tell you the truth. Yeah. They'll tell you their story. You know what I mean? And why they have a beef today with England. You know? They'll tell you why. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I digress a little bit. So we had segregation, which became separation. We were on our way to another civil war. You know why? You had a system of segregation that created two Americas. You can't have two Americas. Because guess what? Y'all didn't want us, and we didn't need you. We figured out a way to make it work. You know, we had our Black Wall Street, we had our own communities, we had our own churches, but guess what? who was our social service? Our social services was the church. And the Jewish community, their social services was the synagogue, right?
Mhm.
So there were two forces, you know, and even like the Italians and the Irish, right? Their social services was the Catholic Church, right?
Mhm.
Because everybody else was Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Difference. You know what I'm saying? See, those are people who really didn't claim an ethnicity. They said they were Anglo-Saxon Protestants,
Mhm.
right? So they had nothing to do with the people who was tied to the Catholic Church, the Jewish synagogue, or the Black Church.
Mhm.
So the so-called Caucasians, right, who frequented the Catholic Church, had ethnic roots that connected them to Black people.
Mhm.
Because just keep in mind, most people don't realize it because they show you the map. You think that Africa's worlds apart from Europe. It's not. Africa's 26 miles away from from Europe. 26 miles.
Mhm.
There's a body of water
Yeah.
that's 26 miles is the farthest point from Africa to Europe. And then there's some points where it's only 8 or 9 miles across the water.
Yeah.
That can get you either into Italy or Spain. You know what I'm saying? So when you hear the stories about Hannibal going into to Italy and all these different places, so I'm just painting a picture for you.
Yeah.
So like all those people, Catholic Church, Jewish synagogues, Black Church, we all have something in common. You know what I'm saying? We all have something in common. But I'm not even gonna go into that part. We all got something in common, right? So anyway, they had to avoid a second civil war, right? How do you avoid that? Because guess what? You got all these people here in the Catholic Church, the Jewish synagogue, and the Black Church working together. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We worked together.
Mhm.
We literally lived together.
Yeah.
Only difference in our neighborhoods were we were right next to each other. You know what I'm saying? There was no across the tracks. There was no across the river. We lived together. You know what I'm saying? You know, like maybe you from the Bronx, right? You see how the Bronx is set up, right? How you had different neighborhoods.
Different sections.
That's the way we lived, and we all got along, right? So civil rights wasn't so civil. See, civil rights wasn't sold to the people. They didn't talk to the people that asked the people what they wanted. Because if you went to most people that lived then, they say, no, leave things the way it is. We don't, no, we good.
Yep.
We good. Civil rights was sold to the church. It was sold to the Black church. It was sold to the synagogue. And it was sold to the Catholic Church, civil rights. That's where it was at, right? The problem is the Black church was the gift and the curse to Black people. You know, people get mad when I say it. It was the gift and the curse of Black people, and I'll tell you why. The Black church was daycare, pantry, employment agencies, housing, medical, mental, everything that happened in our community ran through the Black church.
Mhm.
Everything that happened in the Jewish community ran through the synagogue. Everything happened in the Italian and Irish and all those other ethnicities that wasn't Anglo-Saxon Protestant
Mhm.
went through the Catholic Church. Even today, you hear them talk about Catholic charities. You know, they still talk about all that different stuff, right? So it was our churches that supported our communities. And those three churches worked in harmony with each other. You understand what I'm saying? So what happens? I'm just going to talk about the black community. What happened? The government came in and sold the church civil rights. The pastors brought on to it because they said, listen, y'all don't have to do that no more. We the government, we're going to give y'all civil rights and we're going to take care of that for you. You ain't got to feed them no more. You ain't got to house them. You ain't got to make sure their health is taken care of anymore. Daycare, we going to do it all. Y'all ain't got to do it no more. Y'all can relax now. We got this, right? They sold that to the Catholic Church. They sold it to the Jewish synagogue, and they sold it to the black church. The difference is black people are their own enemy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because the things that we were taught to divide and conquer us, they just turned it up a notch a bit. And they reminded us, like,
Right.
this is what it got to do. So what happened was the black church stopped doing its job. It stopped doing its job. It stopped taking care of the community. It stopped being the center of our universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the government took over these services because this was the Great Divide, right? To break us down, to stop creating two Americas.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's still going to the black church. We are still pouring into the church, our tithes and offerings, because that's how we took care of our community. Everybody contributed to the church, and the church doled it all out to make sure everybody in the community was good, right? Well, now the government's taking over. What happens? The people are still doing what they used to do. They're still pouring the money into the church, right? But the money's going in the church, nothing's coming out. So what happens? The first thing that happened,
They're taking it.
the pastor brought a new car. That was the first thing that happened. The pastor brought a new car.
Cadillac.
Right? This was before he got to the Cadillac.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he went straight to the Cadillac,
It would
it would have been somebody would say, yo, what the hell? No, he got a new car.
just
And it might have been used.
Yeah.
But that old clunker he had, he ain't got that no more. He got something else. That was the first thing he did.
Mm-hmm.
Because the bank account is growing in the church. Or that money in the safe, wherever it's at, it's just growing, stacking up. So the next thing he did was he moved. He couldn't move out of the neighborhood, right? But he moved as far away from the congregation and the people as he possibly could, meaning that he moved just outside of, he moved on the border of the Jewish synagogue and the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he moved to, right?
Safe there.
Well, he could afford it.
Yeah.
It was different. All right. It was no longer the hood. It was suburbia to a degree, in his opinion, right? The money's still going in, nothing's going out because the government took over, right? The next thing he did after he moved, then he brought the Cadillac. And then when he could cross the line, he even moved into the neighborhood of the Catholic Church or the Jewish synagogue. Now, mind you, we all cool together, so they ain't mad. They'll let him come. Oh, that's the pastor, right? So now the black church got so much money, the pastor and his cronies began to steal it and take it. That's why the black church today has no governing body. You hear people talk about non-denominational churches. You know why they call themselves non-denominational? Because they privately owned and operated. It's a business. It's a hustle. You know what I'm saying? See, when you was a Baptist church, you had a governing body. So you had to kick money up to the Baptist organization who doled the money out amongst all the Baptist churches all over the country. You had a governing body. You know what I'm saying? The AME churches and the Methodist churches, all these things, you had a governing body. But they say Satan comes like a thief in the night.
Yep.
To rob, steal, and kill, right?
Just like a thief.
Ecclesiastes pimps in the pulpit today,
Mhm.
they broke away from governing bodies. And they came up with a crafty term called non-denominational. Come one, come all. Everybody welcome. Come as you are. They're hustling, man. You know what I'm saying? So because they stopped taking care of the community and began to take care of themselves, is why we as a people have been set back so far. Is why as a people, the Crips and the Bloods became what they became. Okay? They annihilated the Black Panthers. Because guess what? Prior to civil rights, we didn't have a drug problem. Because guess what? Cocaine and heroin and all that stuff wasn't in our communities. Had a little bit of alcohol,
Mhm.
but alcohol wasn't deadly. It wasn't going to kill you, and it was cheap enough for you to get, or you could make it yourself, right? But to prevent creating two Americas, they had to break us down, right? And to break us down, what did they do? They introduced drugs to the community,
To the community.
gave it to them for free, gave it to them.
Mhm.
If we hooked them on something instead of their self-righteousness, we got them.
They'll chase that forever.
So they poisoned our minds with
Yep.
the help of the Black church. The Black church was hoodwinked. They was hoodwinking Cable Tove because they didn't see what the plan was. You understand what I'm saying?
Can't see it.
They didn't see what the plan was because now because the people in leadership was only worried about lining their pockets because all they can see is, man, it's $500,000 in that safe, and I ain't got to pay nobody rent. I ain't got to do nothing. That's my money. How do I get it out of here? And that's what happened to the Black church. And that's why you look at most Black churches today, they got their own flag.
Yeah.
Because they operate as a kingdom. You know what I'm saying? You know, so we sitting here just kicking it, two brothers down the street, we having a conversation, right? And you know what? You giving me knowledge, I'm giving you knowledge.
Yeah.
We impart some things, man, because you know, each one teach one, right? And things need to spark because history is being rewritten.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if we don't tell the story, nobody will know. See, the beauty of what we do here at Genesis Radio, we are independently owned and operated, right?
Mhm.
I am the governing body, me and my partner, right? I can say what I want.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I've had people come from different angles saying, hey, y'all can't do that. You got to do this, you got to do that. No,
Freedom of speech.
those laws that govern celestial radio
Mhm.
don't govern what I do.
Yeah.
Your laws don't apply to me.
Basically.
You know what I'm saying? Because the people who tune into what we're doing is of their own free will and accord.
Yeah.
I'm not broadcasting over your airways.
Mhm.
So you got no, you have nothing to say about me. I had the FCC roll up here because of some things that we did, right? And they thought that we had a bootleg signal, stealing, you know, airwaves. You know what? And they came here. They had the undercover coming here. They had, you know what? Guess what? The people you're looking for ain't me. It was another radio station in town that had a bootleg signal.
Yeah.
You know, but that radio station, they wasn't doing nothing. They was just playing music, buffoonery. But we over here, we dropping jewels. We educating. We talk. We telling what it was. They came for us because the dude over there, one of the dudes that was involved with that, his name was Terry also.
Yeah.
So they came here.
Damn.
We're gonna get
That's
them.
crazy.
Yeah, they
What a
came out.
coincidence.
They gonna get them. They came here, man. Y'all come here, do whatever y'all want. You know what I mean? Because guess what? I'm not broadcasting on the bootleg AM signal, and I'm not hijacking somebody's FM signal because it's easy to do. You know what I'm saying? We ain't doing that. But we're reaching people and teaching people authentically, generically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Generically. You know, so, and the beauty of it is our broadcasts are recorded. You know what I'm saying? simultaneously as we go live on the air, we send out a video.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the video's recorded. In fact, when we finish here today, if you got a flash drive, I can go boom and give you our recording right now of the video of what we're doing, so you can see it for yourself.
Yeah.
And it's documented.
But what if I don't have that?
Yeah.
Can you still send it to me?
Yeah, you can get it.
Okay.
I mean, hell, you can go online and pull it off YouTube. We on YouTube right now live. We on YouTube. It's gonna be on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? You know, look, I might have a flash drive in here and put it on it for you and say, here, take that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But see, we document things.
Yeah.
To tell that story. That's why it was important for you to come in here and tell your story.
I ain't.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because people won't know
Unless I tell them.
unless
Right?
you tell them.
Yeah. But
Go ahead, man.
it's good to be able to. Everybody
Absolutely.
don't get a chance to do it. But I had like a couple of homeboys in the Ridgeland that was blood.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, let me see what this is about. They know these numbers and they talking in the ABC. So I'm like, let me see what it is and let me learn it. So I got jumped in. I had to fight. It wasn't nothing. I, had a couple of wounds, but I'm involved now. So now they're giving me these lessons, these papers, all this blood and all this stuff on it. I got to remember it within a few days. So I really got into it now. Late night, I go in the cell and pray to God every night that, I make it home safe. If it's not, it's his will, whatever. But I prayed every night and studied, But I became heavy into this, man. And I started dancing around the rock, throwing up the blood signs. And I didn't care about what nobody else thought. The Crips and the folks pulled me to the side like, yo, Buck, man, you can't do that, man. You can't be doing that, man. You disrespecting us, man. This is my life. This is what I am. What's up? Nothing. Ain't nothing happened. So I did it till I became like 3-star general, man. I started fighting everybody, beating everybody up. Every time I beat up somebody, I get points and I'll escalate up. So I'm like, let me beat up some more people then. So I got a name for myself in prison now. All the police know me. I'm in and out of lockup and everybody like, oh, they go Buck. Man, ain't crazy. Something wrong with buddy. You go to lockup, you deal with him. But, that's my life. I didn't care. I had 12 years, man. So I'm doing this my way. I ain't got no kids. I ain't got no house I own. I ain't got no rent. I ain't had nothing going on besides me being a robber in the streets trying to get rich from doing negativity, which it never counted to nothing. Everything I did, the only thing I got was a little reputation, in which I don't really care about that. It's just that nobody don't play with me. People I grew up with, they don't play with me, man. We just don't talk, so because they don't see what I see. But the Bloods, my homeboys started hating on me more, that I started rising past them. So it was more like now they always get smart with their mouth. They say something crazy and I'm telling them, what's up, man? I don't like how you talking to me and So I go back to the dude who brought me in and I tell him like, yo, I don't like how dude talking, man. Well, that's your brother. Well, I'm about to beat him up and fuck him up, man. You know what I'm saying? And he, man, just let him be, man. I'm like, nah. So one day I got mad. I told all of them. It was 6 of them. I told all 6 of them. I said, look, after dinner, meet me in my room. I don't want to be a part of this no more. Get your knives. I got mine. So I had 2 knives on my hip. We on the 2nd tier. I'm waiting right in front of the door of the cell to go in so we can handle this and fight, stab each other, whatever. But I can't be involved no more. It's not for me. They fake. Everybody's not on my level. So I can't do that. I'd rather just be by myself again and I trust me than I trust you. So, I'm ready. They over there on the other side of the rock looking at me. I got my hands on my knives, on the rock, waiting. We have Ridgeland Correctional Facility in Beaufort B-side, 21 and under. So I'm just looking at them like, what's up? What we gonna do? What's up? They over there huddled up and talking. I don't know what's going on. Come on, Duck. Let's stab each other and get this out of the way. And then I'll go about my life and you go about yours if one of us make it. So they came over and was like, look, we're not using no knives. We just going, however you want to feel like you want to do it. We don't need no bloodshed. That's what they came and told me. So I was like, how about this? Burn it off my back then. Well, we ain't got nothing to burn. I said, grab that toothbrush and set it on fire on the bristle part and put it on and burn the dog tags off of my back. So he was like, you crazy, man. I said, burn it. Give it to me. burn it on fire, the whole thing on fire, man. I said, put it right there across the line. Shh, you hear my flesh sizzling. I got the scar on my back still, and the other side too. So they did a Y instead of the 3. You know, I ain't want to be involved with this no more. It's not my life. This not me. This not what I want to do. I got my own option in my life, and ain't nobody gonna tell me how to go about it. You know.
I like that, man.
So I'm a leader. So
I like that. You gotta be a leader because everybody wants to follow. You gotta be a leader.
After that, they started dealing with me more, but I didn't want to be close to them because they gangbang, and they wasn't real from the beginning. So don't try to look at me now as being somebody special to you. So I let that be. Kept going to church, you know, doing me working out, reading, studying the Bible. And I had another homeboy. I went and got shipped to another prison. I got stabbed. I got shipped to another jail, man. So it was 3 of us got shipped from this prison, Richland. After I got stabbed, he got shipped to another. I think he went to Allendale. I went to Turpeyville. Yep, I went to Turpeyville. I had to go to back to Kirkland, and I got stitches. It was in my mouth, my lip, my whole mouth right here. 13 stitches in my mouth. Dude had some metal in his hand and hit me, man. But one of the dudes was a 5%er. A God, body, and earth, and that was exciting because we started doing raps in my room. Everybody come in my room, dude would beat on the bed, and they'll start rapping. Everybody will start rapping. I didn't ever think I'd get into rap, but I just like how you put the words and the bars together to make it make sense, and that just shows you how smart and accurate you is on this type of learning thing with music. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
How you put these bars together, and if you can put them together nice, and somebody say, "Oh, that's hard, yo." Why not? But I didn't think like that. I just did it from fun because everybody was doing it. And the dude was spitting 5 this, da, 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 God, body, and earth, 5 star, boom, boom. I'm like, damn, the moon, the crescent moon, I'm listening to him. I'm like, that sounds good. I said, let me see what this about. I said, so look, I said, look, I want to be a part of this, man. He said, Nation of God and Body Earth. I said, yeah. So he was like, what's your name? I said, I don't know. He said, well, we building. He said,
he gave you that 120, huh?
Yeah, give it to me.
Okay.
Real fast too. He was like, damn, you're a fast learner. So he was like, how about this? I said, I know, yo. He said, what? I said, God's son. So he was like, God's son. I said, God's son, not God's son, God's son. But he put it together. God's son. You gotta read it, not say it. Get me? So I got it tattooed on my chest, man. Right here across it, big. God's son across my chest. Literally. But I got a moon, I got a crescent star, I got all the 5%er designs in it,
I know 120.
Yep. So knowledge, wisdom, understanding, I started learning. Then, the guys that was in it real hard and been in it for years, we start building together. Boom. I'm building with them, working out, building as we working out. I'm spitting the ABCs. I'm spitting this. I'm spitting that. So I felt good about myself learning more stuff. But the thing was, I wasn't gonna say I'm infiltrating, but I was. I'm being honest, yo. I ain't knocking nobody hustle or what their belief is, but I wanted the intelligence, and that's the only way I guess I could have got it. But at the same time, I wasn't infiltrating because I got out of the Bloods because they was fake. That's why I got out of it. The Nation of Gods and Earth, I got out of that because one of my brothers stole from me. That's who stabbed me in my mouth, yo. One, and he was a God body. And he back in jail now, in prison. He got 12 years, actually. He from Buford. I looked him up a few days ago. He's back in prison. He's trying to do appeal to get out. Nah, you're going to do them 12 years. Just think about it. You will be okay. So, I got out of the 5%er, man. And I said, you know what? I think the only thing that's right for me is sticking with the Christianity, man.
Well, let me tell you something, right? In life, you're going to travel many roads.
Yeah.
Right? And see, when you seek knowledge, it's going to take you various places.
Yep.
Because my best friend growing up was a 5%. So, and all the people that I met in public school, a lot of them were 5%,
Mhm.
right? But I grew up in church.
Yeah.
Right. So I couldn't see myself as being a God.
Yeah.
Right. Because, that's part of that 120. Right.
Part of it.
But because my inquiring mind wants to know, right? And I'm always seeking knowledge, right? I've read every book from every religion I'm
Yep.
familiar with, right? And a lot of people don't realize the difference between the Christian and the Jew. It's just the Jews only abide by the first 5 books of the Bible.
Mhm.
That's it. But all the rest of the Bible means nothing to them. It's just the first 5 books. That's what they call the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, right? And the Quran,
Come on.
I done read them all, man. Right?
Mhm.
When you seek knowledge, it takes you many places.
Yep.
It,
Lot of places.
in my quest to learn knowledge, to seek knowledge, I became a Mason. You know what I mean? Because I want to know everything. I want to know how it all ties up. I want to know what makes the sun, moon, and stars the sun, moon, and stars.
Sound like me.
You understand what I'm saying? So when you're a knowledge seeker, it's going to take you to many, many places. You know what I'm saying? So, when you tie it all together with reality and life, and people don't realize that math and science is the same thing. You went to school, you had 2 classes. You had one they called it math, and the other one they called science.
Mhm.
But as you develop and grow, you would learn that math and science is the same thing. They're tied together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is.
Math and science is the same
It
thing.
is. It is.
Right? So, with that being said, right, you will learn so much about humanity and the human being through math and science, right? So, you know the story of Yaqub,
Mhm.
right? Yaqub.
Yaqub. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, most people think that if you told them that story of Yaqub, that you're crazy, you are a messed up individual.
Mhm.
But biblically speaking, through every book that talks about science and math will lead back to Yaqub
Mhm.
being a scientist.
Yeah.
And playing with genealogy,
Mhm.
with genes and all kinds of stuff to create those people that we call gay people. We gave them all type of names and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And that's why those people are the minorities in the world.
Mhm.
You see, we think we're minorities, right? We're not minorities. Look around the world. We are the majority. You understand what I'm saying? So it's things they don't teach you in school.
Yeah.
And if you don't seek knowledge, you only know what they tell you.
You ain't gonna know.
You don't know what they tell
You
you.
gotta be hungry though.
You don't know what they tell you. Because the reality is, that's why they couldn't create 2 Americas. They have to stop that, right? Now the new regime is going to create 2 Americas. You're going backwards, right? But that's okay. But in war, right? You know who always win the war?
Americans.
No, I ain't even talking about them.
Oh, what kind of words?
Because America then lost every damn war they've been in, basically, right?
Yeah.
But you know who win wars?
Who?
People who has nothing to lose.
That's true.
Yeah. Right.
People who has nothing to lose win the war.
They win physically.
They win the war.
Yeah, because they don't care.
They have nothing to lose.
Just they go to prison and they get.
Look at what's happening in the Ukraine with Ukraine and Russia, right? The Russians got all the technology, got everything possible, right? The Ukrainians got a little help from America and from Europe, but it's their tenacity and their resilience that's kicked Russia's ass. The Russians went and got the Koreans and brought the North Koreans over there to help them fight the Ukrainians. There's nobody in Ukraine fighting that war but the Ukrainians. They ain't got no help. They got bombs and weapons from America and from Europe, right? But it's the Ukrainians who's fighting the war.
Yeah.
Kicking Russia ass.
Yeah.
That now Russia need Donald Trump to say, don't give them no more weapons. Don't help them do nothing because I can't do it by myself. So in any war around the world, the people that win the war are the people who have nothing to lose. Because their expectation of death is already there.
Yep.
I'm going to wake up today, and today might just be my day, but I'm going all out. So the term ride or die,
That's what they mean.
they ride or die. It's a difference. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, you have to seek knowledge to know these different things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So
So,
go through some stuff.
oh yeah. Well,
Gotta go
they sometimes you can't go around. You gotta go through it. But it's all
Yeah.
taught. It's all taught hand in hand.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It's all taught hand in hand. So you know what? If you don't seek knowledge, you won't know.
Yeah.
Like when I would tell people that Africa and Europe is 26 miles at its farthest point, 26 miles apart, and at its lowest point is about 8 to 12 miles
Mhm.
from Europe. People say, well, what are you talking about? Look at it. You know what I'm saying? Look at it. People don't understand things, right? They changed the different names of different countries in Africa. Egypt used to be Kemet, if I'm not mistaken, or like all these different names. They changed the names of different countries, right? And they changed the name of Egypt. The word Egypt means land of the white. That's the meaning of Egypt, right? And people are so afraid of what's called the browning of America and why they want to divide us all. And it's ridiculous, right? Because I believe that we're all humans, humanity. We're one people. It doesn't matter where you're from.
We're still the same.
Listen, my kidney gonna work in anybody else in America and anybody else in the world. What does that tell you?
We're the same.
We the same.
Believe the same.
We the same. My blood will save anybody around the world's life.
Yeah.
Like it would save my life, right? What does that tell us? We are the same. We all the same, right? So the corrupt mind, the people who want to control, divide. Racists and all that other stuff, that's nonsense. They divide, right? Because there's nothing wrong with what they call race mixing. There's nothing wrong with that because we're all the same. You understand what I'm saying? It's just about where you came from and how you developed. And it goes back to Yakub, right? So people fear about the browning of America here in the United States. So they're using fear, saying, oh, they're race mixing, they're doing this, and the brown people and the black people and the yellow people and the red people. No, that's all nonsense. But the browning is inevitable because the majority of the world has melanin, right? So anywhere you go is melanated people. And wherever people get together, they are going to get together. So ultimately, the browning will happen.
Yep.
Right? I'll give you an example. Northern Africa, Morocco, Egypt. Look at the map. All those countries in Northern Africa, Northern Africa, and the so-called Middle East, which is Africa, right? Why they look the way they look?
Why?
They're your complexion.
Oh,
you know why they're your complexion?
Melanin.
It's melanin, but what happened was the people who don't have melanin went to colonize Northern Africa. So what happens if I'm a man, if they take 20,000 black men, right, and put us in Scandinavia, 20,000 black men in Scandinavia in one particular part of the country, right?
Mhm.
And there's very few black women there. What's gonna happen? They're gonna get with the Scandinavian women, right? And they're gonna procreate, right? So what's going to happen to the Scandinavian babies that have mixed with those 20,000 African men? They're going to get lighter.
Mhm.
Their complexion is going to be lighter. And the more you do it, the lighter you get,
Then you got albino.
right? So what happens is, through history, they know and understand what the browning is. Because when you all went to Northern Africa and you mingled with the people of Northern Africa, what happened? The people got light skinned. They went from being dark skinned or blue black or whatever you want to call it, and their skin began to get fairer, fairer, fairer. That's why if you do DNA analysis, right, they say, well, you got your DNA say your people come from here, 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 here. And you say, see, then you understand why your skin complexion is the way your skin complexion is, why mine is the way mine is, why theirs is the way it is. You understand what I'm saying? Why our features are similar. So the browning of a nation is nothing new. Just look at North Africa.
Mhm.
Look at the Middle East, the North Africa. You know what I'm saying? The majority of the people in the world are dark skinned.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's what the browning is. So they're using fear to convince people that something wrong is going on. When it's not. It's just the natural progression of life. It's progression. You know what I'm saying? And you look that way because of Yakub and what he was doing. See, just like in Nazi Germany, right? All the science, the medicine, and all the other stuff that's going on, weaponry. The Nazis had brains that was incredible,
Mhm.
right? They created a whole lot of stuff. Their science was years ahead of the West. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Shit, they was building the atomic bomb before we was. We took their scientists to complete our atomic bombs. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying all that to say is there's nothing new under the sun,
No,
right?
that's in the Bible.
So when they talk about segregation, separation, and making America great again and turning back the hands of the time, you're opening up. Somehow we put the genie back in the bottle.
Yep.
Now you're letting the genie back out the bottle. The problem is
years later.
The problem is now, when the genie's out the bottle, how do you get him back in the bottle? You don't.
He's stuck.
You don't. You know what I mean? But that's just me dropping a little knowledge.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? Because you see how you went to Islam and 5% and everything else there. You know what? And see, like I tell you, I study everything. You know what I mean? So you know what? When people Google Yakub, right? Just recently, they've changed the story of Yakub, the history of Yakub on Google, and everywhere they change it. Yeah. They make it seem like it's a made-up story. Yeah. They don't tie it back to biblical terms. They won't even tie it back to the Bible or any of those books. You know what I mean? But if you do the research, you'll see that Yakub was a real person. Mm-hmm. That Yakub was an angry man. You know what I mean? Hell, he was evil. He was evil. Yep. Because he didn't do what he did in the name of love. He did what he did to hurt people. He did what he did to hurt people.
Like you know what I mean? Paul, when he was killing Christians before he became one.
Exactly.
He meant to do that,
Exactly.
but he got saved,
Exactly.
spared.
There you go.
So you can come from out the ground if you got buried in it.
That's
And
right.
still not death, but just all the way down in
Absolutely.
the bottom of the pit.
Absolutely.
And come back up and be something.
Absolutely, man.
Just like David before he was king, man.
Mhm.
Psalms 23. That was basically his whole life in that song.
That's right.
And it was telling you what he was going through, what he was thinking about.
Mhm.
But nobody know the thoughts of that Psalms 23. They just think it's a prayer.
Absolutely.
But you got to look deep into that. I studied that Psalms and a lot of them, and especially him, King David.
Mm-hmm.
He was running for his life.
Mm-hmm.
Feel me? He was praying. He had faith,
Mhm.
strong faith.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anything is possible, man. And like you were saying, the schoolhouse, right? You know how you go into school? It's a brick building.
Mm-hmm.
You got hallways. You got doors on each side. You got a cafeteria you walk to go through the little hoop to get your food. Go to the table, sit down. Get up in 5 minutes after that to go back to class. It's like prison, because when you go to prison, they got the wings. They got the doors next to each other. To me, growing up, it was something about school I didn't like, man. I felt like they wasn't giving me enough knowledge. They wasn't teaching me anything. And I used it just to rob other kids and sell stuff and profit from school.
Mm-hmm.
I never really sat down and took heed to what them people was telling me, because it was always something in the back of my mind. The school just wasn't right. It's a vibe. It was like a feeling when I go in there every time. So I cut school most of the time until I got in trouble. I cut school and cut school and cut school and cut school till they kicked me out of 9th grade. Never went back to school after that. But I went to prison. So I stopped doing everything besides Christianity, man. And I did 3 years in solitary confinement. I was treated bad. I was beat up in handcuffs. They come in my room and beat me up. One of the officers, actually, Sergeant Brian, that originally, he's in prison right now for a sexually assaulting an officer where he was at, where I was at. The man beat me up in handcuffs, but I screenshot him too. I screenshot his little charges and where he in prison now.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel like I just want to go back just to get revenge on him, because he's an inmate now. But it ain't worth it.
No, it ain't worth it.
And it's not worth it. I ain't going to crash out.
Well, you know what?
Something that
you have more to give today than you ever did then.
Yes.
Because like what we're doing right here, we building right
We
now.
build.
Right? We kicking it, because guess what? Our listenership is very vast, right? And there's some young brothers out there who is going to take this information that we're talking about, our conversation today. That's going to take this information that we're talking about, and they're going to say, damn, I ain't got to do that. I have options. I can win. I can change. I would have to do this because, see, the things that you talked about, you did out of desperation because you didn't have knowledge of self.
Yeah.
You didn't know all the things that you could have done to prevent your circumstance.
Yeah.
Because our circumstance is our circumstance because we choose to stay in them circumstances. You understand what I'm saying? Because we don't know, with lack of knowledge, we don't know there's an option to change our circumstance. You know what I'm saying? So we stay there. It's kind of just like a job, right? You get a job, right?
And you feel like you can't get another one?
Most people will stay on a job and give the best years of their life to one company out of loyalty, right? And you know what job means? It has nothing to do with employment. Job is an acronym. It's an acronym, right? And it's to keep you in a certain space. They're going to keep you just over broke.
Yep.
That's what job means. Just over broke.
Just over broke. J-O-B.
Just over broke. They're not going to give you enough money to live in their neighborhood, drive their cars,
They're not.
take their vacations. They're going to give you just enough
Where you
to
survive.
say you're not broke.
Yeah, right.
They're going to keep you just over broke.
And then that's where
That's the truth.
that's where the different person mind state come in. Let me do this.
Right.
Outside of this, I don't want to care about that because I can be somebody on my own.
Right.
I just got to put my dedication and time into it.
Well,
You know, you
To-
can work
to be-
hard, you will go where you need to be.
to be
eventually.
totally successful.
Yep.
That's why entrepreneurship is empowerment. You know what I'm saying?
But it's fear too.
Well, because we get so used to being stuck in our circumstances,
Yep.
right? We get comfortable.
Yep.
So we'll give the best years of our life to a job,
Mhm.
not realizing that you got a job, right?
Yep.
How many vacations can you take a year, right? When I say vacation, I ain't talking about going down south to your cousin's house.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about a staycation while you stay home. I'm talking about when you are putting some stamps on your passport, when you're going to see the world.
Yeah, that's different.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
If you can't take at least 2 vacations a year, your ass is broke.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got a job. Oh man, you got a job. Yeah, you just over broke, man.
Yeah.
You can't do shit. If you can't create generational wealth from your job,
Something wrong. Something wrong.
you broke.
Just
You understand what I'm saying?
over.
Listen, I made the mistake. Everybody made the mistake. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm telling you too, if you can't take 2 vacations a year, your ass is broke.
Mhm.
Or you spending your money the wrong way.
Yep.
Because if your generational wealth is in your closet, buy clothes and tennis shoes and all that bullshit, or some jewelry. Now, some jewelry is an investment, most of it's not, right? Or parked in your driveway, you foolish. And that's a message I give all the young brothers and sisters. Like my sons, they good. I'm good because of my father. I'm my father's son. My father and my uncle shaped and molded me.
Mhm.
They told me something when I was a kid. Rent is for suckers. Why you renting? Because you lack of knowledge. The same money you paying rent with, you should be paying mortgage with, because you're getting your equity is growing in the property that you own for the same money that you're paying rent. That you're getting no equity. There's no return on rent. There's no return on rent.
Mhm.
That's just money out the window. My father told me that when I was a kid, renting for suckers. You know what I mean? So I bought my first house. I was 20. My father took me down to Citibank. I made me some money, had me a check. He took me to Citibank. Put this money in the bank, open this up here. Boom, boom. You know what? Find a house you want to live in. You know what I mean?
Shit.
Because paying rent is for suckers.
For suckers.
That's the first investment any man should make. The moment he get the opportunity, but you gotta have the knowledge first.
Mhm.
I'm gonna buy something.
Be smart.
Because guess what? People don't even know this, you know, and I teach this to a lot of people. I've told a lot of people, right? That the money you're paying rent for a 2-bedroom apartment, for probably 2/3 of that, you can be paying mortgage. Meaning that your mortgage payment would be cheaper than the rent you're paying,
Exactly.
and you own something.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, you know, our people die from lack of knowledge. So that's why every story that's told is a great story. You know what I mean? It's a great story. And I thank God that I had some great people in my life.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You know, like I got a great friend, Nick Pinto, man. You know what I mean? He shaped and molded me on the other side, on the business side. What my father didn't give me, Nick Pinto gave me and set me up to help me become the man that I am today.
Nick Pinto.
That's right. Italian guy, you know, great guy, man. We friends to this day, man. You know what I'm saying? Nicholas Pinto, man. You know what I mean? He was from the Bronx too. You know, Italian guy from the Bronx. He shaped and molded me without realizing it. I didn't even realize it, because guess what? all the things that would have made me petty and that would piss me off, he taught me and showed me that everybody who don't look like me ain't out to get me. He taught me how to trust people and give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, me too.
Because I consider him my brother. That's my brother. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? He moved down to North Carolina. But Nick, that's my brother. You know what I mean? Dave Humphreys, that's my brother. You know what I mean? And it has nothing to do with ethnicity. It's how people treat you and the relationship that you have with people. So all this nonsense about black, white, yellow, green, red, bullshit, man. All that shit's selective.
Yep.
And it's all a dupe and a ploy to keep you stuck in your circumstance. You understand what I'm saying? You know, so sometimes you have to build and not destroy. You know what I'm saying? See, that's why when you go back to that 120, they talk about build or destroy.
Build and destroy. You got
You know
to start from the bottom to build up.
Right. So
Break
you know
it
what?
down, put it back together.
There's no thing of it. We ain't destroying nothing. We just build it.
We keep building.
We
As long
just
as you
build
got a firm foundation.
That's what we. That's why you got to build.
You got to build.
Right.
Yep.
So you know what?
You got to build.
It's our job to pour into the youth. Because if they don't know, they don't know. That's why it's important for you to tell your story.
Yep.
Like you just told people from lead poisoning to poverty, jail, gang life, your faith in God,
Trafficking,
everything. But guess what? That's why you are who you are today and why you're sitting here today telling your story. Because guess what? There's some young man somewhere that's going to listen to this, right? I get information from people all the time, right?
Yep.
When they reach out to me, right? They be like, man, you know what? I appreciate that show you did. And I'd be like, well, what show? What are you talking about? You got to remind me because we talk so much, we give out so much information, we talk so much stuff here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because we have been convinced to do partying and bullshitting. You know what I mean? So much partying and bullshitting that's all people think they're gonna get from us. Partying and bullshitting.
Yeah, but that's not the case. Though.
That's not the case.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna wrap this up because we're gonna come back. You're gonna be back again because we ain't even finished. We just scratched the surface.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're gonna be back to even get into your music because we gotta get the story out before we can get to the music.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But what I'm gonna say to you is this, right? I've been around when it comes to a whole lot of things, business, music, all kinds of stuff, right? And I had a job once, right? And I worked the evenings. You know, I had a job. You know, I worked for Atlantic Records for a while, right? And I tell the story all the time. There was a time when there was a big meeting. This was in the early 90s, right? They had a big meeting. We were all in the boardroom. And first of all, people don't only realize that there's only 6 media companies in the world. There's only 6.
Media.
6 media companies in the world.
Give me one.
You know what I mean?
You know one. I know you know all of them. Just tell me one. I probably can tell you one.
Well, like EMI, for example.
Okay, I don't know.
EMI,
EMI.
right?
I heard of it, but I don't know.
EMI is I think they start out in Germany or Europe and one of the places like that. Well, all these different companies come underneath these umbrellas of 6 companies,
Okay,
6 corporations
I got you.
own all these companies. You know what I'm saying? You know, like, and EMI owns a large majority of record companies, right? It wasn't until Sony got out of electronics and started purchasing, get into the music business, that they're the newest corporation that's a media company. It's Sony, right? So they all got together. It goes back to social stuff, right? They all got together one day. And they realized there's a message in our music, right? See, people of color always communicated through music. Our music means something. Lyrically, we ain't always talking about partying and bullshit. That's something that's new. You understand what I'm saying? You know,
Yeah.
you remember when we was growing up?
Oh yeah, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Beginning of hip hop,
How it's changed,
right?
Because
Badly.
listen, I was explaining that to him
You-
many years ago.
talked about stuff.
You remember "Love Is the Message"? That song, "Love Is the
yes,
Message," right?
Yes.
And "Ain't No Stopping Us Now."
Yeah, ain't no
No
stopping us now.
All that stuff, like "Wake Up Everybody" and "No More Sleeping in Bed." All
Yes.
those different songs.
That was
Yes.
on Life, right?
There's always been a message in our music.
Always.
We communicated via music.
But in the 90s, if you notice, the late 90s, it started to change
Right.
because the executives of a lot of the large
Um,
record companies felt like they could make more money,
If it's
and they also
negativity,
privatized a lot of prisons at that time.
Right. But it
Yeah.
wasn't so much about making money.
Right. It was they were trying
it
to
was
shape
change the world to
Change.
negativity.
What happened was
negativity.
these 6 companies got together because people of color stopped doing negative things.
Right.
The tide changed. You see, the crack epidemic hit our community so hard, right, that it knocked us off our square, had us jacked up, right? I'm talking about the 80s, because that's when crack hit.
Frank Lucas
in
and
the
Nicky
80s.
Barnes,
You know what I mean? That was after them.
Larry
That was
Davis.
after
Yeah,
them.
yeah, right. Larry Davis was part of the crack movement,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is, from about 1981, well, about 1980 is when cocaine became affordable in our communities, because we couldn't afford cocaine, right? Black people wasn't using, people of color wasn't using cocaine, right? So the Ronald Reagan era is when cocaine became popular in our communities, because they flooded us with cocaine.
I think
Right.
crack hit our communities in 83.
83,
Right when I was born.
83,
In 83,
right?
it hit hard too.
Right. So, but it hit us so hard that we got to the 90s, and now the crack epidemic slowed down.
Mhm.
It took a decline,
Right.
because the message in our music was telling everybody, don't use drugs,
Right.
don't smoke crack,
Right.
Don't
So
do that.
Make you do it.
We had, all our music was positive. Hip hop was positive. Think about it. The
Oh,
most
sure.
the most popular clothing to wear in the early 90s was what? HSBC sweatshirt, a hoodie, a jersey.
What about the little alligator?
Yeah, well, yeah, that was too, but that wasn't ours,
That wasn't it. Yeah.
right? But you remember, then FUBU came along and different stuff like that, right? But what I'm telling you is, people job is to look at the trends
Mhm.
and make decisions based upon the trends. How can we knock them off their track? Because when I worked at Atlantic Records, we had positive rap music. You had Common, Most Def, Public Enemy. I could go on all these names, all these rap groups that made positive music. Their message was Brand Nubian. Yeah, right. They all
KRS-One.
right. They all had positive messages. There was only a small fraction of hip hop that had a negative message, and their message wasn't even negative. Like NWA, fuck the police, and all that. Their message wasn't negative. It wasn't talking about killing black people. It wasn't talking about killing each other. They were talking about what was going on in their community to them.
Yep.
It wasn't gangster rap.
No.
They gave it that name, gangster rap. They were just telling you what's going on in our neighborhood. This is what they doing to us. Message in the music. Same thing. And then they went back and thought there's always a message in their music, right?
Yep.
So they came and they had this big meeting one day, and they said, we're going in a new direction in our Black music division. And we go, okay, what's that? They said, all we want in our music, moving forward, we want party music, feel good music. All we want to see is asses wiggling, titties jiggling, murder, death, kill. That's what we want in our Black music division.
Sex and beers popping.
Sex and
liquor bottles.
violence.
Sex and violence.
Sex, violence, and drugs. That's what we wanted.
That's what they wanted.
That's all of this.
This is what they said in the meeting.
Yep.
Right?
I believe it.
And I sat there and I thought about it. I looked some people, and they was like, oh, okay, all right, okay. So now all these groups with all this positive music, what are we gonna do with it? So we're not promoting that anymore. We're not putting marketing dollars behind it. We're not doing none of that. This is what we want. You know what I did? I typed up my resignation letter. I quit.
Damn.
I walked away. You know why? And people said, why are you walking away? Why you leaving? I said, do you hear what they just said?
That's deep, bro.
Did you hear what they just said? Because I grew up in a music family. I know that there's a message in music, right? That's how we communicated. The biggest slave revolt in the world happened because of music. And you can study this. Trinidad and Tobago, right? They all had plantations and stuff down there, right? But because of the proximity of Trinidad and Tobago, right? There was a huge slave revolt where they took over the plantation. They literally took over the islands, where they literally had to have ships come from Europe to gain control of these islands. You know how they all decided that they can revolt at the same time? The music, the drum. Why do you think we like bass so much? Right? There's always boom. Bass travels.
Yeah.
Boom. So the drum, boom, right? That gave birth to the steel drum. That revolt. The reason why there's a steel drum, ding, 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 because that sound don't travel.
Yeah.
So they took away anything that created bass, low ohms. The slaves couldn't play with make any instrument that had ohms. So that gave birth to the steel drum, because it was because of the language of the music, and it wasn't the vocals. It's like Morse code. They had Morse code before we knew what Morse code was, and it was the sound of the drum that they communicated. So in one day, exactly same time, every plantation in Trinidad and Tobago revolted, and they took over and gained control because there's strength in numbers, right? There were more slaves on these islands than there were slave owners and overseers. So they took over, right? They never forgot that. See, the message in the music, the huge slave revolt, you know what I mean? The birth of the steel drum, you know what I'm saying? So if somebody don't tell you this stuff, you won't know it, right? So that's why they said they had to change the message in our music, because we stopped using drugs in the 90s. We stopped using drugs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The decline, they had to reintroduce heroin to our communities, because the younger people they saw what was happening with cocaine, so they wasn't using cocaine. The young people growing up wasn't using cocaine, and wasn't smoking crack, right? So they said we have to change this, because the message is in the music, and if you hear something over and over again, you're gonna start paying attention to it. So the first thing they gave us what they gave us for the murder, death, kill, right? But the super sexualizing our women, when they gave us Little Kim
Yeah.
and Foxy Brown and them,
Mhm.
Turned
Right.
everything up.
That's when
it,
it
it,
changed a lot.
and it wasn't so much about their vocals. It was the image they put in front of us. Remember, Little Kim had
That
little
changed.
naked.
Yeah, you
She had
see
the-
those all
had-
the concerts.
had-
That changed everything.
they put strippers
Yes.
on the album
No,
cover.
really.
They
No,
were
for
they
real.
were dressed as strippers.
Yeah, remember
Right.
one of them, she
I
was
did-
squatting down.
Right, Lil Kim.
I went to the
Right.
their
And they was had the
concerts,
big
and they
posters.
were.
Right.
Yeah, they get
So
down.
so
It looked like a strip. It looked like you go to strip club.
so first things first, they always give you a little sample to see if there's going to be any pushback. And the moment they saw there wasn't going to be any pushback, then they went full throttle with it.
Yes.
Full throttle.
And but let me tell you something else before we wrap this up.
Full throttle, bro.
With the music industry, how fucked up they are. They said we're going in a new direction. That's all we want to see. Don't you know? In 72 hours, that's 3 days.
Mhm.
Radio changed. Radio changed in 72 hours.
Wow.
All of a sudden, ain't no Brand Nubian being played on the radio. Ain't no KRS-One playing. Ain't no Common,
Big
Most
L-
Def.
Big L passed.
You'll
God,
be-
but
but
still, they still
Only
got
stuff
playing.
they played was stuff that had negative connotations. It was
Negativity.
violent or super sexualized.
Mhm.
That's all it played. In 72 hours, radio changed.
Mm.
And when I tell that story today, people got to go back and do the research and see, is that true? Yeah, that's the truth.
That's 100% true.
That's true. That's what happened. So they say, well, why you left your job? Well, I had another job. Thanks to my man, Nick Pinto, my brother. I had another job. I had some other stuff going on. I had my music stuff going on. I had some other things going on in my life, right? And this is what they did to us.
Mm.
So why do you think the rappers today are rapping about being drug addicts?
They think it's cool.
Why do you think they're rapping about murdering each other? Drill and trill, whatever their music is called.
Mhm.
Why do you think they're doing all that?
Negativity.
Why
Sparks attention.
why you think they gave us somebody like Sexy Red, right? She don't sell no records.
She just an image.
You would think she sell records. She don't sell no records. Her job is to shape and mold the minds of the young girls growing up.
To be nasty.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
That's the plan. See, if you keep them ignorant, they'll never realize that they are the majority and they can take over and be in control or be in the right places where they need to be in life.
Mhm.
If you keep them uneducated and fucked up, their circumstance will never change.
Yep.
And that's why
Mhm.
we have been
So,
lost and turned out for so long.
word.
Because when they figured out the messages in the music, how can we get our agenda out to all these young people who we want to keep messed up? It's through the music. Because think about it. You remember 2 Live Crew
Yes.
and Ice-T and everybody? Remember
Yeah.
the government said you got to put, they was locking people up for cussing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. At one point they were. Yes.
And then they said we're gonna have to put this explicit lyrics label on your record, so you ain't gotta pay it, buy it, so
Yes.
people know what they're buying, right? How they went from that
yeah.
to this.
Now, yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
because they realized that we were throwing drugs at them. The drugs didn't affect them.
Mhm.
They stopped using the drugs. They weren't even killing each other. What we gotta do? Now they gave us freedom to be negative. Don't put nothing out positive, just negative. And if that's all you going to promote as a company, why would I make something positive if I know you're not going to put no money behind it? You're not going to sign me.
Right.
But if I come say, I'm going to kill your mother and I'm going to rape your daughter
Mhm.
and we're going to do some drugs and I'm going to murder up everything, you sign that? And you gave me $1 million?
Mhm.
Why would I want to do something positive?
There's no, and then you
Why?
know what happened after that? They get killed.
Well, guess what?
Majority of them.
You did it enough. Now the train has left the station.
Yeah.
The genie's out the bottle.
Yeah.
So everybody's doing it now.
And everybody should know the difference of what to
Yeah.
do and what not to do.
Absolutely.
That's when you come with leaders and followers.
That's right.
So you can fall victim, if not, or be intelligent and know the difference.
That's right. So look here, we're gonna wrap this up right here
All right,
because we gonna do a part 2 with this here, man. You know what I mean?
So this
I-
part one.
This part 1 because you know what we got a collaboration that we're gonna do,
I
man.
still got more stuff to tell you too.
We're gonna get there. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to tell the story, so you can't rush it.
Yeah.
Because people got to have the full understanding of it.
There you go.
You understand what I'm saying? So for people to tune in and get into your music,
Mhm.
they
They
gotta
gotta
know
me.
they gotta know you and know
Yes.
your story,
Yes.
right?
That's right.
And you know, we might get together and do a book together.
Let's do it.
You know what I'm saying? You know why?
I got one already that I'm
Yeah,
writing.
the reason why I say that, I often thought about telling my story, right?
Yep.
And not so much about success, right?
Mhm.
You see how chapter 1 could be your story.
Yep.
How you started out as a youth, as a child.
Mhm.
Then chapter 2 could be my story,
Your story.
how I grew up as a child, so people can see the difference
Of
between
Right.
good and bad.
poverty
And
Yes.
wealthy.
and we was poor.
Growing up in a
Poverty and poor, two different things.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Right.
true. Poverty
Yeah.
and poor is two different.
So they could see that, you know what, you had to worry about lead paint.
Mhm.
I didn't have to worry about lead paint.
The paint
Right.
was peeling in the behind
Right.
in the house.
Right. Right. So that would give people a vision
Of
Of
how,
how-
where I come from.
how things, where you came from, where I came from, and how it doesn't have to be that way. We can show them each step way.
Yeah.
Your chapter, your
My
story,
chapter.
my chapter, my story. So
Sounds
people can look
good.
at it and say, like, damn,
Like this.
our lives are parallel, but it's more about circumstances.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's more about circumstances. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Your youth took you to juvenile.
Mhm.
Mine took me to prestigious private schools.
Buying houses.
You know what I'm saying?
Land.
You know what I mean? So you know,
Mine went to
you
breaking and entering.
you see where I'm going? You see where we're going? But that's where we at, y'all. So we're gonna be back with the Gifted Gorilla. So you know what, bro? Tell everybody where they can see you at, reach you at, and we're gonna figure out when we're gonna come back and do this again. This
All
to show the other half, because you know we can't do this in an hour or so.
Got
And,
you.
and look,
You can
we
go.
we done bumped our guns for over 2 hours.
And it was interesting.
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
You know, I ain't even hungry no more. I was hungry. But I ain't-
But you know what? See, here on the TP Square show, my show is 3 hours.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, this here is a special that I'm doing right here.
Word.
You know what I
It's
mean?
a special, y'all. You heard
It's
what
a
he
special.
said. It's
You know what I mean?
special.
Because I felt your energy when you were sitting here during the week, and I said, you know what? You got to tell that story. Because you know what makes your music different than anybody else's, right? And I'm gonna answer that for you, right? Millions of songs get put in the marketplace every day. Millions of songs. So why should I listen to Gifted Gorilla? Why? Because literally Spotify and all them different companies, right, is literally catching lightning in a bottle, the way the game is now, right?
Mhm.
If you ain't got no marketing money to market and promote your stuff, for you to get a buzz, somebody got to put you on because of a feature that you did with somebody or so on and so forth, or you literally got to catch lightning in the bottle, right? So, but you tell your story, the people that's listening, right? People that's going to see the video and they're going to tune in. You tell your story, that's going to inspire people to go look you up and find your music in the marketplace.
Yeah.
To listen to your music.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to get your story out, because
That's cool.
so much music come out every day. It's like I tell her, we got a recording studio upstairs. You know what I mean? That's fact, state of the arts upstairs. Exactly, across the street. Then people come in, they make music, and it be good music. You know what I mean? But they have no money. They want to be independent. Okay, how you going to market it? How you going to get it in front of people? Oh, social media. Okay, all right. Well, what's going to make yours different than anybody else's? How you going to do it? Because it's kind of like the people that commit murder, right? You're a murderer. It takes money to be on the run. So if you got no money, don't kill nobody because you're going to jail. You're going to jail.
Yes, for
Straight to
sure.
jail.
Definitely.
Because you need money to be on the run.
Mhm.
See, Russell Simmons is over in Indonesia, right?
Yeah.
He knew they was gonna come get him on some sex charges and all kinds of crazy shit. He packed his bags
He left.
and he went to Indonesia. There's no extradition treaty with the United States, right? His paper's long as the Nile. He good. Puffy fucked up. Puff, you went over there to see him, and he told you,
Just stay.
don't go back. You got the money. They can't take your money. You got the money. His ego, he left right after that thing with Cassie. Remember he was over there with Russell Simmons?
Yeah.
He came back. They locked his ass up. And they ain't gonna never let him go.
He ain't getting out.
Yeah, but that's where it's at, man. So we're gonna come back. I don't know if we're gonna do it during the week. I don't know if we're gonna do it.
Just call me.
You know, I don't know if we're gonna do it next Saturday or whatever, but we're gonna put our heads together. We're gonna do some things. Plus, we got our thing, Unity in the Community, that we do every year in August. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you the opportunity to get on that stage, man.
Perfect.
You know what I'm saying?
I
You know,
appreciate it.
we do that, you know, and you know, you can speak and perform.
I got you.
Fantastic.
You know what I'm saying? So you know,
Hell yeah.
we got some things going on. So you know, with that, y'all, we're gonna get up out of here. We're gonna come back real soon. We're gonna put our heads together. We're gonna do this. So y'all stay up.
It's
We had
part
a,
one.
We had a great time. This was just part time. This is part one. So we're gonna come back.
Fantastic time, y'all.
You know what I mean? And
Word.
it was good. It was my pleasure to do this for you, man.
And I'm thankful. I'm
You
grateful.
know what I mean?
Thank
Because
you.
I'm a builder.
If you need
you know,
me, call me.
You know, I'm a builder. You know what I mean? So we're gonna make it happen by hook or by crook.
Let's do it.
All right.
Thank
So we out of here, y'all. Y'all sit back, relax,
Holla.
enjoy the ride. We're gonna get back
Peace.
to our regular stage program.
Peace.